Book of Mediums, Part 2, Chapter 22 of Mediumship in Animals. And as animals is an interesting subject because we have cultural connotations, we have appearances of spirits who can use different natural aspects, we have guides. It just depends on your reference of totems or what tribe, um, how the lens that you're approaching the thought on animal spirits. But this chapter is more about of mediumship in animals, of a question whether or not animals have this ability. And also in Western thought, the subconscious ego, more like animal self um, of a human, is more considered a lower self. But we do also see a lot more intelligence or sensitivity or emotional intelligence in animals than humans at times. Lots of people have said that they've dreamt of their pets after they passed away, um, and lots of mediums have made contact with people's pets. Can animals be mediums? This question's often is asked, and it seems to be a yes. Intelligence is displayed by trained birds often give credit to this opinion. They seem to divine thought and can draw from a pack of cards to give the answer to the question proposed. I don't really know about that because just because they're drawing a card, it's like the observer, right? There's a human looking at the cards there. Um, we cannot deny them a degree of intelligence. He must be doing some kind of experiment that matches up with the card selection somehow. And it depends on the human who's training the bird, their ability, of course. I don't think anybody can really deny that animals have intelligence. Whether they have a spirit or a soul, other people will have different beliefs on. I believe they do. It's said that many animals have second sight or can detect when a spirit is in the room, or they freak out, or can be spirit detectors, or are very sensitive to negative energies. Can be just like a house plant, or how a child is as well. Mesmer was a spiritualist, I'll add, and his idea of like mesmerism and animal magnetism has been spoken up about before in regards to spiritualism or spiritism. The Paris Society for Spirit Studies looked at this question. They're saying if a spirit can animate a table, why can't it animate an animal? And some people like to think that their pets are protectors, and they certainly can be, but animals can also be susceptible to spirit influence, negative and positive, and will react to energy differently than a human as well. Um, incarnated, it's already said that incarnated and disincarnated spirits, so like ghosts and humans, we have a similar type energy body. And just because we're in a physical body, that doesn't really mean anything in terms of being a spirit. And so an animal could also um, have this energy body. Just because they're physical doesn't mean that they also don't have these spiritual fluids, for example. They're talking about different qualities of animals, that compatibility of animals and humans, and why has certain like domestication happened with certain animals. Like, what's the reason for that, other than to like a lot of animals assist humans basically in some ways. Consider and spiritism is the whole consideration of humanity and of spiritual progress and spirits and humanity's progression. We maybe not have seen as much progression, or you could say evolution, uh, in intelligence with animals, but animals such as crows have been shown to be like really intelligent. Different things that animals build, they can recognize faces, etc. Certain spirits make themselves visible and tangible to animals, sometimes frighten them suddenly, maybe ill intent to the humans present or to the animals whom they belong. You will often see horses who will neither advance nor go back, or who rear up at an imaginary obstacle. Well, take it for certain that the imaginary obstacle is often a spirit or a group of spirits who are pleased to hinder his advance. And that sometimes what an animal's reacted to, a human medium can also see at the same time. So that's evidence of that. So just like humans, animals have various aptitudes or ability, or I guess born, because mediums are mostly born. They're born with different, either a lesser or a greater sensitivity or abilities. I mean, obviously, animals aren't going to be. Some animals can paint like elephants, monkeys, but they're not about to do. Probably not about to do automatic writing, etc. So we can probably class them as sensitives, even though some can actually see, and feel physically spirits as well. And anybody who has owned a pet has seen their animal dream and respond to stimulus in their dreams as well. And we believe that dreams can also be hand in hand with spiritual contact, is also something to think about. Animals can understand our thoughts sometimes. So even if they aren't seeing like language and letters and numbers, they're probably quite visual, or just sense energy as higher or lower. Um, so they're saying that animals can't be mediums because they can't really interpret and then communicate what the spirit is trying to say us for the most part. So they're not as a useful instrument. Um, and whether or not we want to train spirits to be able to do this, the spirit who's being interviewed basically says that that's something that humans would want to do, and if they do it, then fine. And it's not that spirits wouldn't cooperate, but it's not really what the spirit's whole agenda and mission is to do.